About 6 months ago, I made a video describing Terraform and how you can set up Terraform in your repository. And if some people followed it, I don't know, I think it got like 200 views. You're probably facing an error. So we got to here where we did one plan and apply. Now, just for a quick refresh, what did the repository do? Or what did the Terraform code do? Well, if we go to main.tf, it created a bucket with a fixed name, so Louis Ormston Terraform demo bucket, and it also created a GitHub repository. It created two resources. Now, what happens if we are to, let's say, push another commit? So we've got this repository action to trigger whenever we make a merge to main. So I'm just pushing directly to main, git push origin main. And if we go back to that window, we should see a new action running and there should be an error. If this takes a while, I'll skip forward. So if we have a look at the plan, we can see it's still planning to create the bucket and the repository. Now this is a bit of an issue since one, we've already created the bucket and repository and we don't want to create it again, especially because repositories have unique names to a given owner and S3 buckets have unique global names. So trying to recreate it will cause an error. And if we scroll down, we see Terraform throws an error and it's saying the repository creation failed because the repository name already exists for this account and the bucket already fails. Now this obviously is not the expected behavior. Well, it is the expected behavior if you have this configuration, but it's not the desired behavior. Why is it not the desired behavior? Because we want to be able to create resources and then continue running the pipeline again and again and not continuously recreate the resources. Instead, we want to be able to modify the resources that we've created. So how can we do that? Well, it's actually a pretty easy fix, and to be honest, I wish I put it in the previous video, so I'm going to do some retro and maybe link that in the previous video. But if I go to the repository now, it's very, very easy to fix. So if we go to main.tf and we add one quick thing, so at the top we add a Terraform block like such, and we do the backend. So now we're going to set the backend to S3, which obviously needs to be a unique S3 bucket, but give me a moment. And then we need to create a bucket, and then we need to have also key, and we also need to have a region. If we go to AWS now, we need to log in, so give me one moment. I'm in the AWS account now, so what we need to do is create an S3 bucket. So, and there's a few settings you need to enable as well when we create the S3 bucket. So number one, let's create the S3 bucket in the region that you desire to create it in. So for me, I want to create the region in the Europe London region, so that's what I'm going to do. I create the bucket, I'm going to give it a name which is globally unique, so Louis Ormston test bucket YT demo. And then you can leave this as disabled. You can leave the public access for this bucket to block all public access, but bucket versioning, we need to enable this. And then if I just accept this, so I can see the bottom, and then you can click create bucket. Once you have the bucket created, you need to find what you just created. So for me, that is Louis Ormston, I think it's test bucket YT demo. This is my bucket, so I'm going to copy this name, or let me just click on it. I copy the name here. Let's go to our VS Code and let's copy that in. Actually, just to make this a little bit better as well, I'm going to install the Terraform formatting so it's easier. Give me one moment. Okay, so I've got Terraform, the formatting now, so now we have some of this. If I save this, I hope it updates and looks a bit nicer. Yes, so we put our bucket name here, and then we need to put a key. So the key can be anything, but for me, I'm going to put Terraform.tf state, and then for region, I'm going to just put EUS2, since that's where we are putting the bucket and deploying our resources. And that's all that needs to be done in terms of setting up the backend. We have the bucket, which is present and is real and exists. We have the key, and we have the region. And then just to make our lives easy, at the moment the bucket already exists. So unless you want to migrate the state, which is a little bit difficult and not the point of this tutorial, we're going to give our bucket a new name. So I'm just going to give it a name called YT demo. I'm just going to add that onto the end. And for the GitHub repository, because we're also facing a similar issue, I'm just also going to put, I don't know, YT demo as well, just so it has a unique name and we don't face that conflict. So I'm also going to run a Terraform format recursive, and so it's now all formatted correctly with the correct indentation. I'm going to push my changes, so git push or git add dot git commit -m Terraform state, and then I'm going to push it, git push origin main. Now my changes are pushed, very nice. Let's go back to GitHub, and if you go back to the actions and scroll to the top, we should see a brand new trigger. What is it doing? Let's have a look. So we click on this and we see it's initializing, so it initializes the backend. Let's see if we can see it says S3. Okay, successfully configured the backend S3. We can see it now has the plan to create the S3 bucket and the demo repo with the names that we have defined. And if you look at the apply was successful. 2 to add, 0 to change, 0 to destroy. I'm not going to check the demo repo, but we can have a look at the S3 bucket that we've created. So it should be called Louis Olmston Terraform demo bucket YT demo. If we just copy this, Control C, we go here, we go to buckets, I do Command F V. I can't see it, but maybe if I refresh, give it a moment. Go back. Okay, I see it here. Louis Olmston Terraform demo bucket YT demo. So it's present, it's good. Now, previously, when we were rerunning the pipeline, we're facing an error because it was trying to recreate it because it doesn't have the state managed. Now, if we rerun this, so in terms of rerunning from my perspective, I'm just going to do an empty commit, allow empty, we just do -m trigger, and then what I'm going to do, I've done something wrong there, haven't I? Can I push git commit allow empty -m trigger. Okay, and then I push this origin main. We should see a brand new action running again, a new trigger. If we have a look, that is correct. And this time it shouldn't fail because it is aware of the state. And we'll have a look a little bit more into the state as well. But if you don't care too much about how it works and how to fix it, this is how you fix it. But if you want to have a little bit more, stay on to. So it looked at the Terraform plan, it reviewed the state, it says there's no changes. How does it know there's no changes? Because it looked inside the S3 bucket and reviewed the TF state file. If we have a look here, the apply did nothing as well, and we get a success. This is what we want, and kind of we have a stateful way of deploying infrastructure now, which is much more effective and a much better kind of use case. So let's have a look inside the S3 bucket now. So if we have a look inside the where it's holding the state file, so just so I remind myself, it's in Louis Olmston test bucket YT demo. So Louis Olmston test bucket, let's have a look. Louis Olmston test bucket YT demo, and then if we have a look, there's a TF state file. We can actually download this, and if we click this, we can review it. So we can see now it's a JSON file, and inside the JSON file it has a list of resources which are indexed. So we have 2 resources. One is an S3 bucket and another one is a repository. Now, if you are to delete the bucket and then redeploy, it will notice and it will check that, there's a bit of drift, and it will try and fix it. But for the most part, this is state, and this is a better place to be than where I left off in the previous demo. I felt it was important to make this since it's a bit misleading, my prior one, and it might lead people to continuously creating new resources. Yes, thank you for watching, and I also made the video on Arch because Arch videos get more views. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.